writing gals, four sweet romance authors here to talk about writing and publishing. And this month we've been talking all about rom-coms, and we're finally at the point where we're all talked out rom-com. So this time we're going to be having a bit more of a Q&A. So if you have a burning question, put them in the comments below. But first, before we get to that, we're going to find out what we've all been up to this past week. So Michelle, let's start with you.
I've been getting some actual words written in my rom-com and another episode in my vampire series. I've been working on ads and trying some TikToks a little bit. It's spring break this week, though, so I'm about to leave to go camping with my family. And technically, I'm supposed to be on vacation, but I may or may not have some writing implements tucked away in my backpack. So implements being like an iPad with a Bluetooth keyboard. So I hope to get some more words written this weekend. So it's gonna, I think, be good going forward. I think I'm gearing up to have a really good April. So I'm excited about that.
That is so exciting. Oh, I'm so jealous. You're going on holiday, but you're like not going on holiday because it's like you're going to get some. Like I always find you get the most words done when you're not supposed to be getting them done. I don't know what it is about that, but yeah, good for you. And you really are going like as soon as we finish this live, right?
Yes, my family is all waiting. The cars are packed.
No pressure, no pressure. We won't run long. Amy, what have you been up to this past week?
I've just been working a lot on my mindset. I have a lot of goals that I want to reach. And so working on overcoming my limiting beliefs into whether I can achieve those goals or not. And my kids are also on spring break because we're me and Michelle, although I don't know if you should be jealous of Michelle because it's cold outside and she's going like tent camping. So
it's like 34 degrees tonight in the tent because we're going rough camping, like no like electricity in the campsite or anything.
So you're not glamping then?
No. We're not even. We're even gonna have to like drive up a hill to this person's house if we need to like have a toilet. Otherwise, it'll be the woods. So yeah.
No. Yeah. That's like you can pretend you're in the Hunger Games. I love that.
Except I'm taking ribeyes with me, so.
Wow. Was that everything, Amy?
Oh, yeah, that's okay. So I've just been really trying to give myself the space to do the things that I've been putting off. So I've been working on covers like I was last week, and I've been updating back matter and working on ads and working on TikToks and, I'm trying to set myself up for success. And I really am excited to start writing again. And I have been a little bit. That I'm like, when I start writing, I'll have all these other things taken care of and it will not be hovering over my head. And like I was telling these ladies, I'm like, I got 57 books. I don't need more books out. And adding another book is just like, well, it's great. It's another book I'm going to have to update back matter on, and another book I'm going to have to create a paperback for, and all these other things. And so I'm just like, it's hard because we get so ingrained that to be a writer, you have to write X amount of words a day, or you need, you know what I mean? Or that stress of I need to write. But I'm like, but when I'm in the zone and I have like the excitement for my book and I don't have to worry about other things, I can write 10,000 words in a day. You know what I mean? But like right now, it's like even writing 500, it feels like it's just like pulling it out of me, And so I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I'm trying to find that balance. But I got my YouTube channel monetized, and then I got to demonetize, and then I got to monetize again. So I have a lot.
It's like a roller coaster.
It's like a roller coaster ride. So I'm trying to. I want to make this my lifelong career, and I need to step away from the rapid releasing, and I really just need to deal with what I have going on, in my backlist. So that's what I'm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's like all aboard the Amy train. Or hold on tight. It's a white knuckle ride. I love it.
I feel though too. It's an emotional ride.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Victorine, how's your week gone?
My week is all right. I've been working hard on my Kindle Vella story. Got another chapter up, so that should be live today at some point in my Kindle Vella story. Angels Can't Fall in Love. It's being written under a pen name. So I'm just having a blast with that and enjoying that. And got an exciting email I don't know that I can talk about, so I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but something exciting in the works maybe for later.
Ooh, that's really exciting. I hope we find out about that soon because I'm really bad at keeping secrets. I'll just come out with it and be like, oh yeah, I forgot what
He's the Tom Holland of the writing gals.
Oh no.
I love the way that your face lights up, Victorine, whenever you talk about your Kindle Bella story. It makes me so jealous. I can't read it.
I'm so sad. I don't know why they didn't put it everywhere. Yes,
I'll have to get my techie husband to set something up, you know.
Yes.
Get something. That's so fun. And for me, this past week has been a bit like Amy, emotional roller coaster. A lot's been going on in my sort of family life, lots of hospital trips and doctor stuff and like everything. So following on with the theme of March being Mindset March, it's very much followed that. I've been trying to get my mind into a state. I had a bit of a breakthrough recently where I realized that I've been trying to level up, and I've been constantly saying that I want to level up. I want to level up. And I feel like I'm almost there. Like I'm almost at the point of leveling up. And I have been, and I haven't leveled up. And then it kind of hit me the other day where I was like, Laura, of course you haven't leveled up yet. All you keep saying is I'm going to level up. So I'm always in this kind of like at the precipice of change. So now I have done some things that are a bit more scary. So I put some more money into ads, and I've realized I need to start acting like someone who is a 5-figure a month author, rather than acting like someone who's in their comfort zone in the 4-figure a month. So that is what I've been doing, and I should be writing, and I have not been writing. And then I had a realization that I'm not writing because I think I should be writing. And I really should just go on vacation with my family, and then I'll write a book in 3 days. That's the answer to all my problems. We need to go on vacation. I think it's been, well, we haven't gone on vacation since before the pandemic. So I think I'm going a little bit cuckoo. So that's what I need. Anyway, let's talk about our Q&A. And to open up, let's just finish off our conversation with romcom. Do any final thoughts and advice? I think the biggest thing is like the obvious questions with romcom. And I think one I would really like to address is, because I see people saying it and I'm like, let's just address this. Do you agree with the statement that romcom is saturated, so you may as well not even try?
No,
Michelle, you're shaking your head.
No, not at all. It's just seeing a resurgence. So there's more than people are used to seeing. But as long as people are selling well, it's not, saturated. I've seen so many people rising through the ranks of romcom authors and having their books do well. So yeah, and I think saturation is a myth in a lot of ways anyway.
I agree. I think there's more people seeking out rom-coms right now, especially I think with COVID going on, everybody's kind of wanting to get away from all of that, and they want something fun and lighthearted to read. And I think it's seeing a resurgence as far as people wanting it as well. So yes, you're seeing a lot more people writing in it, but I think that's because more people are craving that.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of thoughts, and I keep opening up the Writing Gals Facebook page, and I start typing a post, and then I delete it because I'm like, I'm not 100% sure what I want to say, but I have a lot to say.
Well, now is your chance. Share it.
I'll probably do a post because I know not everybody watches the podcast, but
yeah,
I see this pattern happen a lot, and I want to address it. This idea that there becomes experts in a category or experts in a genre. And I think we all look at people who have success and we say they must know what's going on in this category or genre or trope. Therefore, I will listen to what they have to say. But we miss the element of they're having success and they can tell me why they're having success. And that is the people that have figured out the market and can teach it. Because those people who just have success, most of the time they have success because they were found by the Amazon algorithm or something happened. They released at the same time, stars aligned. You can't always make it happen that way. And like, they can't tell you why they had success, why at that moment in time their rom-com took off and did really, really well, or their YA book took off and did really, really well. They probably don't know why, and they can never replicate that again. And so we go into, we say, oh, this person, like for me in YA, when my Rules of Love series took off and then everybody moved to YA, right? I could point to it and say, it took really well because I think this is a hot market right now, but there was really nothing. I did all the prep work, but I think the pushing was that I released right when To All the Boys I've Loved Before came out and the Netflix. People were on Amazon searching for rules or searching for YA books, and my book was very similar. And that's just a once in a lifetime thing. I can never replicate that again. So I can tell you my book did well, and this is why, because Netflix released a bunch of YA shows. So just wait for Netflix to release a bunch of YA shows and then release your book. Like, it's just not, it's not something that's replicable, but you can see that there are enough readers. But I think we get into this, well, this rom-com person said that it's now saturated, then it's saturated. And I'm like, well, no, let's take a step back and let's look at their success, what caused their success, and can we see why? Can they tell me why? And if they can't tell me why, then I don't know if they're necessarily going to be the person I'm going to take gospel truth from.
Well, usually most people who are saying a market is saturated are people who aren't having the same success as before or aren't having as much success as they wanted. And a lot of times that's because maybe a previous series or release was really driven by the algorithm and the next one isn't. And at the same time, they're seeing more people publishing. So they start to think, oh, it's because so many people are publishing now. And it's probably not that at all. If anything, you're building a bigger audience. You have more people to use as comps. You have more people to send newsletter swaps for you. Like, it can only benefit you with more people moving into a category with you. And so if you hear someone saying it's oversaturated, very likely may just be that they had success with the algorithm or something hit right for them the first time and it's not happening again. And they don't exactly know how to pinpoint what is holding the new book back. So I always get really hesitant to say, yeah, it's oversaturated.
Absolutely.
Right there.
I love what Christina says.
People run away from it, and then you have all these readers going, wait, I like that. Like, where did they all go? Like, what's going on? And I always just say, like, get out of your bubble. Like, go to sci-fi or go into a fantasy. Nobody's talking about rom-com over there, so you will get less intimidated by, or I feel like saying that is one, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then you're going to start seeing it and it's oversaturated. So we're all going to leave it. And didn't you see no rom-com, died because nobody was writing in it anymore. It had nothing to do with oversaturation. But oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. Beautiful.
I feel like, don't listen to what other people are saying, first of all. And if you're going to write in the genre, know what you're doing and why you're doing it, so that when you have success, you can turn around and say, I had success in rom-com and here's why. It's not, I had success. And most of the time, the people, like for me, when I wrote in YA, mine did so well because it was a passion project. It's something I loved. I really didn't write it specifically for a certain genre. I wrote it because I love it. And a lot of times, I think a lot of these people who explode in a certain genre, it's because that's where their passion is and that's what they love. And so they go and write in it and they're like, oh, this is probably not going to do anything. And then it explodes and they're like, wait a minute, it did something. Because that was what they loved. Like you and your Disney stuff. That's where your passion is.
It's so true. I love what Christina says about that. She was in a reader group the other day and it was asked how many books a day / week everyone reads. You wouldn't believe how many 10+ books a day there were. There are plenty of readers. And that's the thing. People are consuming more than we can possibly put out there. So actually, the more people writing rom-com, the more it's going to stay alive. Because like Amy was saying, if we all stop writing rom-com, then that's the way you're going to kill a genre. They want fresh new content. Absolutely. Okay, second question I have for you guys. This is a very important one. Gonna say it with a straight face. Do you have to be funny to be a rom-com author?
Your book has to be funny.
Yeah, I think you need to understand humor and understand how to craft humor. But I don't necessarily think that you personally have to be funny.
It's funny because I've known people that were not funny in person, but their books were funny.
Yes.
That does
Me
happen.
too.
And sometimes people are really funny in person and then their books aren't as funny as they are.
Yeah.
Because some people are just natural storytellers, like verbal storytellers, but they can't necessarily write a book. It is the same thing with comedy. Like some people can do great with a stand-up comedy routine or just keeping people laughing in the break room, but converting it to storytelling is a different skill. And I don't think your book has to be completely funny, haha, all the way through. I mean, rom-com does have a definite, if it's, quirky and fun and light and fluffy, you can also really rely on that to make it a rom-com. But I think the higher level, more universally enjoyed rom-coms or well-reviewed rom-coms are usually funny. So yeah, I think it's important. And unfortunately, it's one of those crazy things you got to do where you got to like find out from reviewers or beta readers if you're pulling it off or not.
Yeah,
that's true. The thing I like, I don't want people to be put off by the idea of writing rom-com because they think, well, I would never do stand-up. I would never I don't even tell jokes, because some books are really funny because they write funny characters, but like through the eyes of someone who is quite serious. When you've got like the slapstick side character, or just seeing the world through like a different point of view that can come across as quite amusing for people. So don't put that off. Don, I'm reading Donna's comment, and a lot of rom-com can be slapstick, but a book can be funny without that element. Yes, this exact Donna, we're thinking the same thing here. It's true. It doesn't all have to be slapstick, and there's this huge spectrum. So don't be put off by that at all. And number 3, with rom-com, are the beats, do you think, like the beats of a rom-com exactly the same as, like, say, a sweet romance or just a romance? Or do you think that there are extra beats in there?
I know there are extra beats in mine.
Yeah, me too.
So, and the beats are usually that comedic level that I'm setting up something to happen.
Yeah.
And it usually aligns with other beats, like other like fail cycles. So there's usually something that, like, there's a fail, which is like a common beat, where they have to like try something to push towards their goal and then they fail. Well, that failure for me is also linked to some comedic element, that sort of thing. And then, I think it's just kind of like maybe a few more micro beats or appendages to the beats that are already there. But pretty much the romance follows the same beats.
Yeah, I like to think of rom-com as kind of like, instead of it just being like a cake, it's like a cake with extra frosting. It's just like a little bit extra that's just a little bit more sweet to give you that, that comedy, lighthearted, fluffy is the word I see all over social media. They're like, when you need a fluffy read. And also, it's a little tip to you guys. Not you guys, you probably know this. Actually, everyone watching this probably knows this. You're all like, Laura, we all know this. But anyway, I learned that rom-com is referred to as a palate cleanser by fantasy readers. So if you write rom-com, it can do quite well in the fantasy realm. So you don't have to just be focusing on rom-com readers when you're marketing or you're talking about it on social media. So just a little tidbit there. You can say, if you need a palate cleanser after that Crown Prince or Cruel Prince, that's it.
There's probably Crown Prince too.
That's true. That one too. But like when you've had a heavy book and you just want something fluffy, there you go. Your story is there. Guys, we need to address some questions because the time is cracking on. And I know in the group we had some amazing questions that came up on our post. Does everyone have it handy? I don't.
I have
Someone wanted. Okay, awesome. Hit
Our
me.
first question is from Matt and Megan, but I'm guessing possibly Megan Bucker. I'm guessing on the last name, so I forgot that wrong. What are your best tips for creating and uploading paperback covers?
Oh, Victorine,
She
let's go
said-
I
straight
can
to you.
answer that.
Victorine's writing for this one. Go for it, Victorine.
All right, I'm going to screen share because I pulled up one of my covers. Let me find it. Photoshop here. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. Oh, well,
Oh no.
how do I do that?
Technical difficulties.
Oh dear. Just a second. I have to read this thing on
Has anyone
how
got
to
a ukulele?
screen share. Okay, so I have to open my security and privacy. Oh my goodness, you guys. Sorry. I thought I was all prepared. I got it all pulled up and everything. Security and privacy. Where is that? Oh, here it is. Okay. And I have to get Google Chrome.
Well, maybe while you do that, we answer another one.
Yeah, let's
Sure,
do that.
go ahead.
Well, this is a good question because it kind of goes along with what you were saying right before we ended. Is that how do you get your book in front of your target audience? My target market is pregnant women, which
Yeah.
makes me wonder: do you think your pregnant women is your target, or is that do you write like pregnant women books?
Yeah.
Michelle, you're
You're
muted.
on mute.
No wonder you guys weren't listening to me.
Oh,
I said no. So I was saying, so yeah, it's probably nonfiction or self-help or maybe like a humor book if it's fiction, something like that. But regardless of what it is, you need to know kind of where those audiences hang out the most. Like if you have it by age group, where does your age group tend to go for social media? Like we talked a lot about how Facebook tends to be for older people and Instagram and TikTok tend to be for younger people. So you might kind of like keep that in mind. But you can also, target ads towards interests like that.
so here's the thing though, like pregnant women, you're talking about 9 months out of the person's life that you're trying to target them. I wonder if you're narrowing yourself too much because we talk about niche down. This is a very specific niche. And unless it's like self-help, how to be pregnant books, it would be, I would think if it, depending on what it is, I mean, anybody who has been pregnant, like a mom would be probably okay. But I just think catching a person in that 9-month period of time is very daunting. And I can imagine you being like, how on earth am I going to find these people without having to join all these like pregnancy groups and pretend I'm pregnant and talk about, you know what I mean? Like, are you pregnant? Like, I don't know. I was like a May 2017 babies group, which I still am a part of, but like I have since moved on from that because my May baby's going to be 5 next month. So like, like it just, so I wonder if you're taking the niching down to the extreme. And I wonder if you could come back up a couple of levels.
But in general, just to answer quickly, I really think that we need to understand that Facebook and Amazon and a lot of these people know exactly what everybody likes. So like take advantage of all of the data that they provide to you with their ads and then use keyword targeting hashtags on social media. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would also say if you are doing Facebook ads, you can target things that you think that mums or young mums or pregnant mums in like follow. Like my mind is completely blank because it's been like 10 years since I was pregnant, which feels like a long time. But yeah, you can just look at what they're interested in and like I can't remember where I got this training from, but I really liked the idea of you draw a profile of your reader, like you're like a stick man, and you're like, oh, what are their interests? What do they look like who are their friends, like, and then you'll probably find that can be a way that you can make it less niche. You can start targeting people at like Toys R Us or something, Babies R Us. Is Babies R Us still open? I don't know.
Maybe not around where I live.
Baby and Me. This is like bad advice from Laura.com. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like make a profile of your reader and then see what they're interested in. Victorine, have you got this
I have my
Just
thing
take
done,
that
I
brush.
think. Let me try. All right.
Over
This
to
is
paperback.
me trying to share my screen again. Let's see. Photoshop. Share. No, it's not working still. I even like redid Photoshop. Anyway, I won't screen share. I'll just tell you my tips for doing paperback. So I would say download the template for sure from KDP. They have a template. You just put in your specs, like what your page number is and all that, and you download the template. What I do is I put my template on. Oh my goodness. Did it do it? Oh,
No,
you
that's
did
fine.
it.
Oh,
There it is. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I put my template on and I do just what Anne-Marie did with all those guides where the template is. And that
Right
way,
here.
you know, like where the spine goes and everything, and just make sure everything fits within those guidelines.
And if I close it out, you can see the picture they send you. So you make all the blue marks, lines go to where these, like the edges of all these things, so you know where the cut marks and stuff like that is.
Perfect.
that is really
Well,
cool.
you get to screen share, but I don't. How rude.
I don't know why. Oh, whoops. How do I stop screen sharing? I'm opening everything. I don't know how to stop it.
Or if you're not a cover person like me and want to save your sanity, pay someone to do it.
Yeah. If
That's what I
you
do.
looked at that and went, I don't know how to do that, then
Yeah.
you may want to just pay somebody to do it.
And if you go to kdp.amazon.com/cover-calculator, it will tell you, you can put in the specs for your book and it will download a template for you to then grab the PNG from. However, sometimes Amazon is stupid and you download their template and then you go to upload your paperback and then it says, this is not sized right. And I'm like, excuse me? This is your fault then. You fix the problem. So sometimes I just give, or sometimes you go to upload it and it's cranky and then 2 days later you upload it and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, or I had a book in review, a paperback, for 2 months till I finally called them and I'm like, why is this still in review? And they were like, oh, I don't know. That's too long. I'm like, you think?
That's too long.
Amazon has problems. That's what I think.
Okay, let's skip Jessica's Kindle Vella question for now because I want to make sure we get to everything, and that one can
Maybe we can do a whole episode on Kindle Vella.
I think maybe
Yeah.
we should soon. Let's do Lisa Renee's. She says in an Amazon ad course, one of the teachers says $2.99 is the new $99 price point. And also perma-free isn't working as well as it used to. So what price points do you recommend for a new pen name doing a rapid release of 6 books?
So can I just say, the statements like that seem just like blanket statements that cover everything. Just I stay as far away from that as possible because maybe what's working for me is not working for somebody else at that point, or just saying, well, you know, going free doesn't work anymore. I don't like saying that. So I would rather say, you know, maybe you're not advertising with the right people when you have a free book, or just making it free and not advertising at all may not get you the reach that you want. So I would say I wouldn't prescribe to those blanket statements like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so like, are you in KU? Are you wide? Like, you have a marketing budget? Do you not having a market? Do you know a lot of newsletter people you can swap with? Like, there's so many other factors to consider than just to say this doesn't work. However, I would say know why each individual method does work. So I do believe that it comes a point where if you're not running frequent Facebook ads and you're just doing promotional sites, that doing free and getting downloads based on promotional sites can eventually wear themselves out, because if you keep getting sent to Robin Reads every month, eventually people who have been on Robin's Reads will have seen it. So
it's saturated your audience there.
Yes, know the method. If you're going to go wide and you're going to release at $3.99, then if you're going to want to get sales, then you're going to have a high marketing budget and knowledge with Facebook ads and Amazon ads and BookBub ads and all that sort of stuff to get visibility. So if you're going to do a method, know why you're doing the method and why it works and where it could not possibly work for you. But like I agree with Victorine, like I hate blanket statements like that because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, and even in genres, they're different. Like what works in sci-fi because they're mostly interconnected and in the same world, doing a free first book could be really good. If you have a standalone series and each book is in like doesn't have anything to do with the other ones, it can be hard to make a free one work because how are you pushing them into the next books if there's not that desire to get there? So it can work, but make sure you know how and why it works.
Yeah, and before I'd say, you know, well, free doesn't work anymore. Just think about it. If the first Harry Potter book went free, would it be number 1 in the free store right now? Yeah, it would. So don't say it doesn't work, because it doesn't work, you know, that just isn't a true statement. What you're saying is, I'm not getting traction when I do free anymore. Well, why are you not getting traction? Are you using the same sites? Are you, all these questions that Emery just gave.
Well, and I think there's a difference between readers who read free and readers who pay. So I think there's like some people feel like if I get a free book, the quality is not going to be there. That's not true, but that could be a mentality that readers have. So if you're always constantly just free, you might be missing out on. It's like saying, well, if you put out a box set, then your box set will ruin your individual book sales. Well, no, there are box set readers and then there are individual book readers, and you want to be able to catch both of those people and bring them into your brand. So like, you just got to be careful with that sort of
Yeah.
Like Christina says over here in the comments, I do think in general, though, there does tend to be a trend of authors pricing books higher now and doing well with it. And I think that's good for all of us if we can price our books a little bit higher. And I mean, look at inflation right now, how much more expensive everything is. Why would our books have to stay the same price? You know, because we have to feed our families too. So it's just kind of in general, I do see a positive lift in book prices in the market. I don't know if you guys have seen it too, but I've been seeing it in general.
Yeah, and I think it's hard though to give hard and fast rules and advice on what you should price your book at, because it is different with different genres. Like women's fiction usually prices higher than it would with sweet romance, but that's not always the case. Like I know people that sell Kindles at $6.99 and they do really well. I was just looking at somebody, it was a billionaire romance, and it was like a 250 page book, and she had her Kindle price at $6.99 and she was in like 1,000 in the store. I was like, and she's not trad, she's indie, so I was like, you know, I think I'm just a fan of testing and getting your own data, and then just also letting it breathe, because sometimes we put our prices, like I went into the trap of going, oh, I'm not selling any books, I'm going to put it at 99 cents, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm going to try it at $3.99, and oh, now I'm going to try it at $2.99. Like, it's, you know, you're not giving your time to get that data and find out which price point is going to work for you and your books, which I guess is a really rubbish answer, because it's like not really an answer, it's just test. But like all the answers are test for yourself.
And I think you also have to realize too that, like, I think you have to understand that some of this is longevity. Like it's like a long-term game. So like you price your book at 99 cents and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting hundreds of pre-orders every day. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, but I'm not making anything. So obviously free didn't work.
Guys, the internet's running really slow for me. Can you all get off the internet maybe, guys?
I think she wanted to mute. Maybe.
I think maybe so.
Get off the internet. So basically what I was saying is that, and there's also that concept of like I keep losing my train of thought, but I have a lot of thoughts about this stuff. It's like, did you hook your reader with your ad copy so that they, because there's 2 reasons people would download a free book. One, because it's just free, and why not? You know, it's like you go to the library and you pick a bunch of books and then you bring it home and you only end up reading 2 or 3 and then you have to return them all. You know, so like it's either that or you hooked the reader by your ad. They had to know what happens next. So they download your free book and they open it and they read it all in that day, and then they get hooked in your series and they go on and on and on. So sometimes it's not the price point that you're not seeing the success and the income. It's your marketing strategy or how you're pitching it. If you're just pitching it as free, people are like, well, I'm not going to know that it's free, and I don't even know, like, how am I going to find this book again? So I'll just download it, and then it gets lost in their Kindle.
Yeah, it's true. And I've also heard authors talking about training your newsletter list for a particular price point. So if like I had trained my list free and 99 cents. Like if I share a book that's free or 99 cents, it gets 700 to 1,000 clicks, always. If I share my new releases at full price, it's like 100 clicks. And that's like my new release. They're supposed to be on my newsletter list because they can't wait for my new release. But no, they want the free book that I gave them last week. Yeah. So I think there is a kick. But I do know that you can, if you've fallen into the trap like I have and you've messed around with prices, or you've trained all of your newsletter subscribers that you lowball eventually, or you release and then it's free, you can train them back again. It just takes time. Mm-hmm. So just be mindful of that and don't kick yourself if you mess up. That's always my mantra, isn't it? Just fail and then you're fine.
What you learned this week, Laura, about how like you were like, I'm selling this book, but I'm not getting any read through. And I was like, what does your book matter look like? And you were like, oh my gosh, I have nothing. It's going to nowhere. Or is your book broken in the back of your book? Like there can be more reasons why something's not working than just that price point doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, let's just add to the list of Laura. Yeah, check your back. Yes, if you get a book bub, check your back matter. Oh my life, you're just leaving money on the table, honestly. Mm-hmm. Anyway, do we have another question?
Well, I think Michelle was choppy.
Oh, let me see if I have it.
I have one.
I think it was.
Okay. What does a writing critique group look like? Do you have a schedule? What work happens before interacting? How do you do it virtually? How can you build it to be a helpful environment? Have you heard of methods or tips that helped create successful and thriving results? How do you share work and feedback? Can we post a request for interested parties in specific groups? So basically, how do you do a writing critique group?
Well, the first thing I'd say is if you're not already a member, go in the Writing Gals critique group, as we have one, mm-hmm. and it's thriving and busy, and there's lots of people in there happy to help you and read your stuff. Does anyone
have any post in there, hey, I'm looking to start a group.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who writes in this? That's how me and Michelle and Victorine met.
Yes.
All in the same critique group. And then
it could be really intimidating. Put yourself out there saying, oh no, I'm the one that has to say I need a group, and to start one. That's scary to people, but you're not going to probably just stumble upon a group that's perfect for you. You may have to say, I'm going to start a group. And if it meets online, that's fantastic. You can, post online saying, I like to meet Mondays at 3 p.m., Central Time or whatever. And I say, does anybody else meet online with me? We can do it through Zoom. I have a couple critique groups that I do through online Zoom type things. And we just read a chapter and we give our feedback. It's just, a couple hours out of my day. Everybody shares their written chapter with each other, and we make notes and give our comments, and it works really well. So I'd say put yourself out there and start a group.
I'm so interested. Okay, I've never been in a critique group, so I have follow-up questions. When you say that you read a chapter and everyone reads each other's chapter, is this something that's like homework where you go away and read it through the week and then you discuss it?
Some groups do it that way. My groups don't. We just read it out loud, and as I'm reading, they have their copies that they're looking at in Word, and they'll make notes on there, and so when I'm done, they'll say, I really laughed at this part, or this part I got confused by, or something like that.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And I think what we did was you start a Facebook group, especially if you're doing it virtually. And that way you can say, here's my chapter for today. And then everyone can go in and download it. Mm-hmm. Some people do get worried about like copyright issues. So just make sure it's people that you trust. Yeah. Also, since you have the proof and the physical stamp date and all that sort of stuff, you can prove that, hey, this was my work. So hopefully that will never happen because you will pick people who you trust. Yes. But that's what I would suggest if you're looking virtually, or email it. I hate email though. So like, don't email me ever anything because I will never see it. But like put me in a Facebook group or send it to me on Messenger and I'll be fine.
Would you recommend it's in the same genre? Like that all of you are writing in the same?
Yeah, that really helps.
Level is important, especially if you're in romance.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been in some critique groups where they read very steamy stuff. The nice thing is they were like, hey, I'm going to read this. If you're not interested in it, you can leave the room and then come back. And so I left. But it's better just to get similar, because I would not feel good critiquing poetry.
Oh,
I'm not a if it doesn't rhyme, it's not poetry to me, and so I'm not really interested in it. So for Michelle, her internet's not working. It's because they're like, you're going camping.
Yeah, it's sabotage. They're like, oh well, we'll have to go to the woods now.
Okay, so Michelle wants us to talk about Kindle next week, which is
we can do that.
Yeah.
So the next question is, for first-time authors, how do you improve your book? When do you start getting feedback on it, and how do you tell when it's ready?
Critique groups.
Yeah, follows on nicely.
I would say for when I knew I was ready is when I would open my document and I start moving like a word or shuffling around commas. The truth is, the book you write now is never going to be as good as the book you're going to write in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so Michelle talks about this a lot with her court or her class, Divorcing Your First Novel. Sometimes you just have to put it aside and start fresh and new and take all the knowledge that you learned from your previous book and put it in this. You go to critique groups, you could get an alpha reader, you could get beta readers that you pay. You can do that. I wouldn't suggest paying $5,000. I've heard people do that. Don't do that.
Wow.
So, and also just understand that probably your first book is just not going to be good, and that's okay. Like your next one will be better and the ones after that. So
my first 4 books that I published are now all unpublished. And that's 4 books I had to give up, and it hurt because that's like 200,000 words. You're like, oh, this is awful. But when I go back to them, I'm like, why? But yeah, I think the biggest challenge I see with new writers who are dipping their toe in the market is they struggle to get started because they want it to be perfect. They want it all to be all lined up and do that like really good job. Like the personality types that are real perfectionists. I published way earlier than I probably should have, but then it fit me and what I can cope with. Because for me, I like to just get feedback from the real readers like out there. I'm like, I can take bad reviews and like I'll cry over them and be upset, but like I'll take them and be like, okay, so this is what they really want. But if you are a personality type where you've got to be a perfectionist, you've got to work on that, because every book that you release is going to be worse than the next book you release, and a little part of you that might kill you inside because you're like, oh, it wasn't perfect. Or you might write something that you think, like, you could even have like your critique partners or your ARC readers just really love it, and for some reason it doesn't hit the market, or you haven't worked out how to find the readers for it, and then you get a bit disheartened by like the feedback. But it might not be that it's like a rubbish book or anything. It just means you got to keep trying. And it might be as well, like it can be so subtle. Like you could write a book that is supposedly to market, but you miss a couple of things in it that would make it really hit the market and shine. Yeah. And so you just go to the next one. I think the biggest thing is don't look for perfection. You'll never publish. And also, like Anne-Marie was saying, like if you're going into your document and you're just moving commas, then you're ready. It is time.
This moment that you're going to be able to make that book. Because like, I look back on even some of the ones that I have published and I'm like, ooh, like, oh, I could have written that so much better. But for my experience at that time, it was good. And I think we need to remember that what trumps anything is plot. Yeah. And if your plot is all over the place, you could have the cleanest, perfect writing. People will not read your book. So it's really like, and then you have the opposite side where you're like, I mean, it was okay writing, but I was engrossed in this story. So plot will trump any technical writing over anything. Obviously, you want to make it good, but that's really where your focus should be. And that, like, my husband was writing, he was like, would always go and he would spend 30 minutes on one paragraph thinking of a better word or moving this one around. And I'm like, this paragraph doesn't matter, okay? Yeah. A million more paragraphs. Do you realize this? So, like, you got to learn how to pace. You got to learn how to plot. You got to learn how to keep things moving quickly. So, That's
Yeah.
probably where, and she says, how do you improve your book? Writing another one is really, in the beginning, it's really how it's going to work, is you writing your next one. Because you're going to kind of be like, oh, well, that didn't work. Or I messed up this whole plot. And instead of going in and trying to fix it, just write a new one is my suggestion. Kind of think of it as college. It's your years of time that you have to put in to kind of learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I read somewhere that you need to write 1 million words before you find your voice. And I definitely felt that. Like once I hit 1 million words, it's like, oh yeah, I know how to write now. But when you think 1 million words, that's a lot.
It's not just the over and over and over again until 1 million words. Why are I not better? Yes. We could talk all day long about how to become a better writer. Like,
yeah.
So let's move on. Yes. Julia says, creating box sets of series, can't wrap my head around it. Ebooks in KU possible? Does it become one ebook? Do you need to have a new ISBN for the combined book, paperback, one big book, or really a boxed set? So if you can ever figure out a place that will create a boxed set for you, tell me, because I would love that. But I don't know.
It'd be cool.
Unless you're a big name traditional publisher. So that's the easy answer of that question. Or maybe someday Amazon will do something like that, or Barnes.
That would be cool if they did.
Ingram Spark or something. So
so I just do the ebook. I don't even do the paperback box set because to me that would make one just really big book, and I don't see the point. They could just order all the books in the set. So I just do an ebook, and I just combine all the files into one file to make it one ebook, and put a box set cover on it. And if any one of the single books are in KU, the box set has to be in KU. If all of your single books are wide, you can make the box set wide, but you can't have the box set in KU and all the other ones wide, or vice versa.
But you can put a KU book in a box set that is wide. One. I don't think you have to be.
If one of your KU books is in a box set, it has to be only Amazon. You can't have it wide.
Somebody told me that you're allowed one time or something, because I had a box set that I took my KU book and put it in my box set, and they had told somewhere had told me that you could do something like that.
Maybe it's worth clarifying with KDP, because I
don't
look that up on KDP, because I heard it
led down the river.
I heard it can't be wide if it's in a box.
Maybe I saw it in wide for the win. The nice thing about being wide is that you can create 1 million different types of box sets. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you could do a whole series box set. You could do box set of your first in series, and you can do that you can put that book in any box set you want, which is nice. But it would become one ebook, and you just put volumes. Like when you're creating it on Vella, if you do that, you just put it in volumes: book 1, book 2, book 3. And I have done paperbacks of my box sets, and people buy them. So normally they're $25. You do have to be aware there are limits to ebook sizes. So a lot of times people suggest splitting it instead of having a whole, like I have 11 books in my Rules of Love series now, and I'm not going to put that all in one box set. I don't even think I could with the amount of pages. So just be aware that there are limitations to that. Also, you cannot price an ebook over $9.99 and still retain the 70% thing. So that's another reason why a lot of people, you can on other platforms. So if you're wide, you can do that. So a lot of people will do like an Amazon specific box set, and then they'll put the whole book together, the whole series together on a wide platforms, because they're 2 different books. And then they can charge more on the other platforms for it. So just kind of figure out that, have an idea for plan. But if you're in KU, you could split it up. You could put it all together, but only once. Because I think you can do an ebook, and then you can do it in a box set. I think that's it. You can put it in a box set, but you can't have it like in a series box set and then another box set. But I'm going to look into that, because I remember I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I think I read it on the dashboard, and it said you could. So. But I thought
that was referring to if you're in KU, you can have your book on its own, and you can have it in a box set, but you can't have it in multiple box sets because it's to do with the page reads.
Yeah, I think.
I know, but I did this because I saw it somewhere that you can.
Okay.
Now that book is out, but trust me, I was skeptical too, and then I was told no, you can, and then I looked into it, and they said call KDP and ask, but don't mess with KU because you could get out of there. So.
Yeah, you can get kicked out.
Yeah. And it's
You,
also
you,
worth
you guys are like nay-selling Nellies. I'm gonna find this and tell you.
find the proof, and then we'll believe.
You're just like, yeah, Amy, okay.
It's worth also noting that when you release a box set, it is a release in itself. So you can launch that box set, treat it like its own entity. I think it has its own ISBN. It has its own number.
It's its own separate.
Again, it's a separate book. Yeah, I think that's
okay. So this person asked, it might be a silly question, but how do you go about figuring out which keywords are the best? I don't know if I'm marketing the right choices or not with this. Thank you for doing the Q&A.
I love Publisher Rocket for that.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Amazon and I start searching. So if I'm like writing billionaire, I'll start writing billionaire romance and then see what comes up afterwards, or single dad or whatever. And then normally the center, like Amazon guesses what you're going to search based on what everyone else is searching. So that can give you a good clue. And then you can go into Publisher Rocket and write that. So say it's like single dad, billionaire romance, put it in Publisher Rocket. And not only will it tell you how many searches it got in the last month or so, it will also give you recommendations of other keywords and that to use. So there's a little shout out to Dave.
I agree. Publisher Rocket.
I take payments and PayPal, Dave.
I would say if you're unsure if you're using the right keywords, type those in a search in Amazon. If books come up that are not like your book, you're using the wrong keywords. So when you put your keywords in, just make sure the books that are coming up under that word or phrase are like your book. And yeah, if you write a rom-com, you can do romantic comedy for a keyword, but that is such a massive category that you're going to get so many books that it's not going to narrow down. So I would try to find maybe your niche genre, romantic comedy, like Laura said, single dad, something like that would be maybe a better keyword for you if that's what you're writing in.
I think also too, just think about elements of your story. So like starting over, like for my Magnolia Inn, she's a divorcee. She's starting over. She's a, older woman. She's, restoring an inn, like those types of things, on the beach, a beach romance, like those types of things. Think about just elements of your story become keywords. And there's Dave Cheston, like she was saying, he does a lot of like talking about how to say, and I'm assuming you mean the 7 keywords in your dashboard. There's a whole you can put a ton, you fill up each of those things with different keywords for your book. You don't have to just put one keyword per box. I also do like clean, sweet, inspirational, clean and wholesome. Put those keywords in for my YA. It's teen, tween, young adult, YA. Like, so anything that describes your book, if it's the STEAM level, things going on inside of it. If you sit down and you say, what are all the elements in my story? Then you like, what is the main female character? What's the male character? The setting, you can pretty much come up with some pretty good keywords.
Good.
I think it's worth noting as well, not to mention author names or book names and free in Kindle or whatever.
They have a list of no things to put in your keywords.
Yeah.
That can get your book actually delisted. It can get your account, slashed. So be sure you don't put naughty things in your keywords.
Well, and especially for the paperback and hard copy, I always get lots of, we noticed something was not right, and it's your keyword. And it was because a long time ago, if you put bargain, you could get in the deals in books. And now they don't like that, so you have to delete bargain. So they will
make sure it's if you're putting in tropes, make sure it's either like mentioned in your blurb or it really is your book is following that trope, because some people have gone in trouble with KDP because they feel like they're just keyword stuffing, like they're just putting as many tropes in as they think they can, and their book isn't that. So I think that's important to remember as well. Look at your metadata, look at your blurb and your keywords in there, title and everything, and that they all match up nicely.
Yes.
And you still want to make it a good experience for your viewer. So you don't want to have like a title that's 7 different tropes.
Yeah.
That you're like, I don't even know what this book is about, except for the fact that it's a billionaire, nanny, football playing baker. You're like, okay, this is a lot. Be wise about it. Be intentional. And still remember that a reader still has to look at the title and be intrigued enough to buy. So the next question, what keeps you writing? What makes you feel like your writing matters? Which is probably not a good question because right now I'm not writing.
Me neither.
Oh,
What keeps you not writing?
What keeps me writing are those awesome candy bar seeds that I know are coming up, and I want to try to make each scene that way. So every time when I'm trying to craft my next scene, what I'll do is throughout my day, like I'm doing dishes, I'm thinking, okay, what can I put in my next scene to make it super cool, to make it a candy bar scene that I really want to write? And so I'll just kind of brainstorm when I'm not writing, so that when I do have time to sit down, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this next scene. I get to do this and this. And that's one idea that I use to try to keep me excited.
You are a genius. I am going to do that. You know what the secret there? That secret is you got yourself into an excited state of mind before you even got to the laptop or the computer.
Yes.
Because if you sit at the computer going, oh, I need to write 2,000 words. What are you going to write? It's going to be rubbish, isn't it?
Exactly.
Whereas if you do, and you got your dishes done. Oh, I just bow down to you. You're like, do your dishes. You'll be inspired and excited.
That's
and you
right.
write 2 million words. Oh my goodness.
But I think it's also, I noticed, because we talk about burnout. I know I'm in burnout if I am not daydreaming about my books. And I know I either need to say, okay, I need to get my head in the right space, or there's something stressing me out that's causing me not to be able to have this flow state. And trying to figure out what that is and fix it so that flow state will happen. Or it's I need to consume something more than 90 Day Fiance. Which is all a lot of drama, but not romance. And I need to consume something to fill my bucket. So it's sometimes it's not fighting the moments you don't want to write. It's understanding why and not forcing it and being forgiving to yourself that it's okay not to write. It's okay to consume. It's also important for you to realize, okay, I have had enough time and now I can't just not write ever. You have to find a balance there, but knowing that you are where you're at and the triggers that might be going on in your mind where you're like, okay, like if I'm stressed out about my family, I might not be in that, what Victorine said, the candy bar scenes might not come because that's just not what I'm thinking about right now. So that's how I know I'm not writing. There's something going on and I need to solve these other problems so that my creativity can flow.
That is so true, because last month, the news here has been so intense. Like every day, every hour, we're getting updates about the war in Ukraine. And it's been like so big on my mind that I start writing my rom-com and I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about whether he likes her. Don't they know there's a war? Like it's so true. And I think sometimes you have to give yourself the grace to not write when you're in that mindset.
Yes.
Right. And then that's where I'm like, I'm going to market the books that I have because I may be feeling this way. And I know my books will give people an escape. So like, she's like, what I don't remember the last thing was basically like realizing that people care or something like that. And I'm like,
what makes you feel your writing matters? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that question.
So I'm like, it's also realizing that previous books that I've written could be the escape that these people are looking for and that they need. I think we get in our mind that like, if I'm telling people about my book, I'm annoying them, or my TikToks are not being seen, or people aren't going to enjoy it, or people aren't going to enjoy my books. Like, especially when you get bad reviews and those types of things can kind of really just go down on your like mind and your headspace. but then realizing like, no, people need this escape. People need to they need to be in a story where they're the heroine. They take control. They get their happily ever after, which they might not be getting right now in the craziness of the world, like you were saying. So if you can't write, find people to read what you've already written.
And don't forget, it's super important to place importance on those good reviews that you get, because a lot of times we read a good review, we're like, oh yeah, well, they were just being nice, and then we read a bad review and you're like, oh, that's so true, everything they said was true. Right?
Yeah.
So you need to discount those bad reviews. Maybe they're just having a bad day, and print out those good reviews, stick them up on the wall, read them, and let them sink in, because there are people who enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think the only thing to add to that really is there's been a few times where I've had that really, that hit me to the core. Like, why does, like, how do you know your writing matters? My writing matters to someone.
Yeah.
And I've had times where I'm very, I'm an oversharer. Don't know if you didn't notice that, but I really am an oversharer, and in my newsletter I often share too much, but I'm quite insecure, and like, I let people know I'm very raw and authentic. But I get emails back from people, and their emails are like my little, like, they're like treasures, right? Because when I'm feeling like, do I really matter? I then think about my readers who are saying, I'm holding on until your next book, or I just read your books this week and they were only thing that got me through because this is happening in my life and whatever. And also every year I do a feedback form, like a Google form. It's like a reader survey, and I let people just write comments, and every now and then I'll go back to that form and just read the comments, because the comments are usually just things like, I love your books, or keep writing, or keep going, or I'm so grateful for you. And I think it's just important to know, your writing does matter to someone. That person who's reading your book at that particular point in their life, your words matter. And it's not going to be for everybody, but oh my gosh, to the people that it matters to, like, we are in a way blessing people's lives with our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a gift, because we can reach so many people. So,
yes. I love
feeling
that.
all the feels.
Yes, makes me happy.
Is that all of our questions? Are we finished?
Yeah.
We did it. Yay! Okay. We did
Except for the Kindle Valley question.
Yeah, we need more time to go over that, I think. So we will do that.
Well, and also, if you're in the Writing Gals, Victorine, Michelle did do an hour-long conversation where she did talk extensively about Kindle Valley. So
yeah, go look at media.
Yeah.
I think if you go in the Writing Gals group and look at the media and look at videos, that's where that'll be, and you can watch her video.
Yeah. So go watch the video. If you have any questions after that video, come and bring them next week. Next week is our final week of March, so it'll be our little bonus round. So why not? We can talk about Bella and answer all of your questions. I hope you guys have found this video helpful, this live, and that your answers have been questioned. That's how my brain is tonight. Oh, my life. That your questions have been answered. If you have missed the live and you're catching up, just let us know in the comments and give us any questions. And if you're not already part of our thriving Facebook group, the Writing Gals, you need to come and join. And then you can put any questions that you have in there. We welcome new people. We welcome any questions, even if they've been asked a million times. It's not a problem, you guys. This is a safe space. We've all been new once. And, I still feel new. And we're here for you. And so that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe so that you know when we're live again. I think you have to ring a bell for that. Ring the bell and then you'll know. But until next week, here's a bye from us. See you later.
All right.